I'm Carla Broadus with the Wellness Institute, and we're here at the Business Toolbox series, Fine Tuning Your Digital Brand Part 2. And Benny with Victory Right Consulting, Claims Consulting, is going to be leading us off. So I'm going to hand it over to Benny.
Well, thank you, Carola. Welcome to everybody. Looks like a packed house, packed screen anyways, I'll take it. But I'm Benny Wright. I'm the president of Victory Claims Consulting. Insurance companies have their adjusters. We think you should too. When disaster strikes, claim victory. I'm also a North Dallas Chamber ambassador, proudly wear that title, and very much excited to welcome in today's event. I want to first thank our sponsor, Weaver, of the Business Toolbox series. Our speakers, Kaylee Roberts, Karen Chrisman, and Kelly Christensen. We'll get to interviewing them a little bit later, but in this new digital age that we're living in, I think everybody could probably benefit from a little more social media understanding and presence, myself included. And so I'm very excited to be here today for part 2 of a 3-part series called Fine Tune Your Brand for Digital Engagement. Today is going to be focused on Facebook and Instagram. We'll have a presentation for about 30, maybe 45 minutes. Then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So please very much, if you've got a question, put it in the chat so everybody can see. I'll do my best to carve out some time at the end to give each of you an opportunity to ask your question. And I'm just going to go in order. So if I don't see your question, I can't ask it for you, or I can't call on you to ask it. You can ask it. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Kelly Christensen. She is the Executive Vice President of Insights and Strategy. Kelly has an eclectic background in marketing with over 25 years in integrated marketing strategy development experience. She's worked primarily at database marketing and digital strategy agencies on B2B and B2C strategy plans for global and local campaigns for brands such as Microsoft, P&G, Nestle, Fisher-Price, Wells Fargo Bank, Thrivent Federal Credit Union, Dallas Capital Bank, the Dallas Morning News, Liberty Capital Bank, Southwest Airlines, Domino's Pizza, the Fort Worth Symphony Orchestra, the Dallas Opera, Weaver Tax Consultants, ABB Motors, Coldwell Bankers Real Estate, and more. Woo! She's particularly attracted to HCK2's core value related to charitable heart. She fosters small dogs for DFW Forgotten Friends. I know personally that's a fantastic organization, so a big high five to her for doing that. She also serves as a mentor and a volunteer to women seeking meaningful employment and reconnection with their children after incarceration at Well Grounded Coffee Cafe in East Dallas, associated with Exodus Ministries. She also currently serves as a host for High Rise Dallas 5 as a networking group for professionals in Dallas. So without any further ado, I would love to hand off the program to Kelly Christensen.
Thank you, Benny. Hi, everybody. We're very honored to be here presenting this to you today. Are we going to be sharing a screen with our presentation today so everybody can see that? We are HCK2. I'm here with my colleagues, Kaylee and Karen, like Benny said. And a little bit later into the deck, I'll be able to introduce the two of them. Really honored to work with the two of them as well. They are social and digital experts. We are honored to be here because we love working with small business, mid-market size businesses, and that's actually sort of the sweet spot for HCK2. We're an agency. You can go to the next slide if you like. Today, we are going to take you through who we are. That's all that I'm going to take you through. And then I'll introduce you to the two ladies that are going to take you through the social media lineup. We're going to talk to you about the Facebook and Instagram business page. They're going to take you through how to set up Facebook and Instagram business pages. And we know that lots of you might already know how to do that, but we believe in starting with the fundamentals. Then we're going to take you through how to create a business strategy on those two platforms, and then talk about some best practices. And we can field questions throughout. We'd like this to be a conversation and really natural. So I guess interrupt if you'd like, if that's okay, Benny. We'd love to field questions as we go, if we can. And so next slide. About HCK2, We are a women-owned agency. We've been around for 20 some years. We are top ranked for the last 2 decades, actually. And we were recently named by Forbes in 2021, this last year, as America's best PR agency. We're very happy about that, but we do a lot more than PR. We are a full service marketing agency. That means we do, you can go to the next slide. We do just about everything, and I promise not to take you through every one of these lines, but we do marketing strategy, creative, web dev, public relations, digital social. About the only thing that we don't do really is media, because we go to partners to do that. We find that we can get better pricing for our clients by going to specific media partners. And depending on what our clients need, we go to different partners to find the best economies of scale for them, depending on what their needs are. We can go to the next slide. Next slide.
It's just sticking a little bit.
Oh, it's
so I
sticking a little
apologize.
bit. So what we're gonna, you can go to the next slide. That's, you've already heard that. And so what I'll let Karen introduce herself. And then I'll let Kaylee introduce herself. So Karen, do you want to introduce yourself while your slide is up?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Karen Chrisman. I am the digital account executive here at HCK2. I've been in the social media world since 2017. So I'm sure all y'all know social media has even changed since 2017. It's pretty hard to keep up with it, but it's super fun. I really enjoy it. I've worked with B2B companies, B2C, and I do everything from organic social media to paid media from start to finish. You'll get to see a lot of my day-to-day here at HCK2 with the process that we take you through at the end of this deck. So I'm really excited to show y'all pretty much my world that I get to work in. And yeah, and you can see on this slide some of the companies that I've gotten to work with. It's been really fun, and a lot of B2B and a lot of B2C it's really cool. So
Okay, and then Kaylee, we'll go to the next slide. Kaylee.
yeah, so I am Kaylee Roberts. I kind of play a dual role here at HCK2, which you'll find out at the end of the presentation, but I am the new business development manager, and then I'm also a digital designer and strategist. I went to school in Nashville and got a corp comm design degree, and unfortunately, I started working in restaurants. So if anybody knows about restaurants, if anybody works in a restaurant, it's a lifestyle choice. So I ended up in management and marketing for restaurants specifically, and then ended up being an operations manager, opening and marketing multiple restaurant groups, doing anything from menu creation to promotion to events. And then I moved into agency life in 2019, and I kind of help with the whole integrated marketing strategy when it comes to new business. And then I help develop organic social media content internally and externally for some of our clients as well.
So we can go to the next slide. And I can tell you one of the, before we get into the actual deck itself, one of the things that we believe at HCK2 is that we go into our process with a discovery session with our clients. And so if you are a small or medium-sized business, we like to sit down and have a discovery session with you before we do anything. We talk about your business, we understand your marketing objectives. Once we do that, we then take a media agnostic approach and try to just attach your service or product with whoever your customer is. And so today, what we're going to talk about is once we have that meeting with our client, a lot of times we find that social media might be the thing that our client needs to use as its platform. And so when social media becomes the answer to the question of which platform should I use, then this is the process that we take in order to align the product or service with the customer. And this is what we tell the client they need to do in order to get ready. So get their channel or platform ready. If it isn't ready, sometimes we have to set up a platform for our clients. Sometimes their platforms are ready today, this day and age right now, we are finding that a lot of our clients that come to us have had a set it and forget it sort of mentality with their websites and their social media. So we're doing a lot of cleanup with their social media. And so we're helping them clean it up, get it all ready, and have it work alongside their other owned media platforms. So I'll now hand it over to Kaylee and Karen, and they're going to take you through the social media lineup that we have for today, which is Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. So I kind of want to just take a step back. I know we're going to focus primarily on Facebook and Instagram, but I kind of want to look at social media as a whole right now. There's a bunch of different platforms. It seems that something comes to the surface every couple of months. But I guess the big question I want to pose to everybody is, what platforms do you think your business should be on? And I'm sure a lot of different things come to mind. I'm sure some of them seem a little scary. I'm sure that you think that maybe your business doesn't have a place in a platform like that. But Karen and I really want to show you that there's opportunities with each platform, and kind of walk you through what that looks like as a whole. So these are the top 5 that we as an agency identify as the top 5 platforms that businesses should be on. So I'm going to hit it over to Karen, and she's going to talk about the first 3.
Yeah, and please raise your hand if you can't hear me. I'm going to just speak up a little bit. I did see somebody in the chat say that they couldn't hear me very well. So please let me know if y'all are having issues hearing me. So to start off, so Facebook and Instagram go hand in hand. They obviously are owned by the same company, but they can be used for different purposes. So Facebook business page allows you to directly communicate with your audience as well as show off your company culture. Facebook and Instagram are very visually appealing. Going back to Facebook, Facebook is a great platform to take advantage of for company updates, celebrations, and company wins. We've seen a lot of B2B companies as well as B2C take advantage of Facebook. It just really helps you communicate on that personal level, since pretty much everybody has a Facebook these days. So it allows you to really connect with your audience on a personal level and share those company wins. And especially it helps a lot with the B2C clients, because Facebook and Instagram have that e-commerce kind of tie-in as well. You can sell stuff on Facebook and Instagram. I'm guilty of seeing an ad and purchasing right away on social media. So that's something that you can definitely take advantage of. And we really urge, if you are B2C, to take advantage of both Facebook and Instagram. Now transitioning into Instagram. So Instagram is the photo sharing social tool. It's completely visually appealing. A lot of people like to find aesthetically pleasing pages to follow, and it's definitely the platform to take advantage if you are B2C. But B2B companies can still take advantage of them to show off that company culture. And then moving into Twitter, Twitter is a great tool to communicate with your audience in real time across the whole world, wherever they are. And it can be quick and sweet, since you only have 280 characters to communicate what you want to communicate. Rather than promoting those products and services, it's just a good way to have those conversations. And Twitter is a great place to distribute information and communicate one-on-one with customers, but it is very hard to gain followership without committing a lot of time to it. So of course, social media, you have to put in a lot of time to gain that followership. Twitter is definitely hard to, if you're wanting a large following on Twitter, it's hard to gain that if you aren't very controversial these days. A lot of people that's how you get that engagement on Twitter, is the people who are putting out that really shocking news. And obviously Twitter is a great place. A lot of people turn to Twitter as their news outlet now because it's so instant. But again, it's a great place to communicate with your audience wherever they are. And it's still a great tool for B2B and B2C, but it definitely takes a lot of time to commit to it. And it takes heavy community engagement as far as the type of time you have to put into it. We suggest, if you want to be on Twitter, make sure that you're checking Twitter every single day, so that if people comment
and mention you, that you're instantly responding back to them so that you have that relationship, you build up that trust with your audience.
And
So
we-
that's just a little overview of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm going to hand it off to Kaylee for LinkedIn and TikTok.
Yeah, I would just add that the average successful Twitter account requires 7 tweets a day. So if you're not ready to commit to 7 tweets, to Karen's point, and that could be either responding or having 7 opinions, then you shouldn't commit to it. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kaylee.
Yeah, no problem. So yes, LinkedIn, I'm sure we all know, especially all of you, that this is the hub for B2B. LinkedIn allows business to reach a target audience. It's a great place to communicate your company's core values, company updates, and of course, share current job opportunities. This is a huge recruitment and networking platform. The only thing I really want to mention about LinkedIn is that we've seen a shift on the platform, that it's becoming more of a personal and emotional play. So before, you would see very professional strategic post. It's kind of opening up to not be a Facebook or Instagram, but to have more of a personal connection and an ethos involved with it. So if you have a big life event that happened and it's associated and you want to share that with your professional network, it's a great opportunity to start doing something like that. And then TikTok, our newest friend to the lineup. I'm sure maybe not all of you, but some of you, the quote of 2021 is, I saw this on TikTok. I learned this on TikTok. This came up on TikTok. TikTok is the most addicting platform of all, I believe, and it's a great place to market to the Gen Z audience. It's a great place also to learn what's up to date and what the current trends are. So even though you might find it incredibly silly and it might not align with your brand, there are some trends that you can pull from that and to use to your greatest ability to create that engagement and that following, because if you're posting something that is current and trendy, people are going to capitalize on that. So TikTok allows a new marketing form to occur, but you have to be very dedicated in being consistent and staying on top of trends to gain a following. You also have to be really strategic about what trends you do, especially when it comes to our businesses, because we really want to align our brand with the right message. And in order to be on TikTok, much like Twitter, you have to be a pretty consistent content creator. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of dedication, and there's a lot of very detailed things that you have to do in even order to work the app. So that is kind of just like our high overview of social media. And I'm gonna turn it back to Karen to talk about how you can use different content types from platform to platform.
And I would also just add, when TikTok began, it was a teenagers platform, and just like Facebook, it has emerged into an adult facing platform. So don't dismiss it, but it's also not for every business, FYI.
All right,
All
Karen.
right. So as we move into the content differs from platform to platform, we obviously want to show you, I wanted to make this snapshot for everybody that you don't just have to post a photo, you don't just have to post a text. There's a lot of different things that each one of these platforms have given us. So you can mix up your content type, which we'll reiterate later on in the deck, but we really encourage people going live. We really encourage people posting polls because that just generates more engagement with your audience. And so I liked putting this all together so it shows you your limitations with everything. There's always a time limit with stuff. There's a character count limit with certain things where you have to be a little bit more strategic when you're posting and stuff like that. But these are great tools to just mix up your content as you're posting. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It doesn't have to be an image with text or just text going out. You can mix and match a lot of different stuff. So, and then we're gonna move into the Facebook portion of this. And sorry, it's doing the stick. It's no worries. Okay, so I have full faith in everybody because also Facebook has made everything super user friendly, but I have full faith that everybody can set up a Facebook page. But you'd be surprised that the skin and bones of a Facebook page is where usually there is some errors that happen. So of course you want to use, the first thing here is your page name. You want to use your industry known name. You want to make sure that that is cohesive with what's on your website, with what's on your other platforms. You want to make sure that it's all the same so that you can be obviously easily found on different platforms. And then next, they give you the option to select a category. Now, Facebook has this really long list of categories that you can choose from. Unfortunately, you can't make up your own category. They have a set list, but you want to make sure you go through the full list of everything that they offer and make sure you choose the one that best aligns with your business. Because we had a client that they said that they were an ice cream shop and they're more so an ice cream wholesaler. So we didn't want people to obviously get confused. Their location was on their Facebook page. So we didn't want people obviously to come to that location and it's just a distribution center. So make sure that you go through that list and choose the category that best aligns with your company. And then the big thing right here is the description. So the description is where I see a lot of companies not take advantage of. So Facebook only gives you 225 characters to pretty much communicate to the world what your company is. So that means you have to be really strategic with what you're communicating in those 225 characters, and you want to make sure you fill that 225 characters with keywords, because also Google picks up on that description section. So that also just helps in discovery with SEO, and it all ties together. So that's a big thing where you want to make sure that you are fully describing. Somebody can quickly look at the description and understand who you are, what you stand for, and just get a complete picture of what your company is. And then moving on to even the profile picture and the cover image. So this is a best practice that we have found. When it comes to the profile picture, of course, you want to use your company's logo, but a lot of company logos, they have their full name or their tagline in it. We highly recommend that you choose your logo or your profile picture to be your logo that's most prominent, that's most recognizable. So we put in this slide, one of our clients, it's Connect Technology Group. Obviously, their full logo is the first image here to the left. That's their full logo with their name and their tagline underneath. But whenever you're scrolling on your timeline, whether that be on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, even Twitter, those icons are so small. So if you have a bunch of text in your profile image, nobody would ever be able to see it. And so that's why we recommend, if you have a certain icon or if you have prominent letters in your logo, making that your logo so that it makes your brand more recognizable wherever it is, whether that be in the timeline or whether that be in the comment section. And then, of course, moving on to the cover photo, we want to make sure whenever a user comes to your Facebook page, that the cover photo is the first thing that people see. So making sure that it connects with what your company is and it's high resolution, because that's another thing that people don't take time to find a high res photo. And of course, it helps describe what your brand is there as well. And then, of course, moving on to the about section. So we want to make sure that we take advantage of everything in the about section. This is the one-stop shop that people come to look at who you are, what your prices are, your business hours, your contact information. So make sure that this section of Facebook is completely filled out, because that's where users go to find out more information about you. And then there's even a section below the description section, the 225 characters, what I was mentioning earlier. There is a section called additional information, and Facebook allows you to have 50,000 characters. So that's where you can clearly communicate a lot more information about who your brand is,
what you stand for, your mission statement, etc. The anticipation. And then, of course, moving into establishing a posting cadence. Like I said earlier, social media takes time and it takes dedication and it takes consistency. So we recommend to our clients that you start with 2 to 3 times a week. And then over the course of time, you build up to being able to post more and more. And so we really want to make sure that you develop that cadence, and then you can obviously over the course of a couple months, you can build up, and you want to make sure that it stays consistent and that it doesn't lag off. It's not a leave it and forget it type thing. And so this is just a little checklist of what I just went over. Of course, use your known name in your industry. Your profile picture is high res and features your brand logo. The cover photo is high res and dynamic. The About section has all the required information and it clearly explains your business. Content is posted daily and follows a consistent cadence. Obviously, I just said, start with 2 to 3 times. Daily is best practice, but we want to build up to that eventually. And then I did not mention this before, but this last checkbox is a Facebook Business Manager is set up with an ads account. So of course, if you have a Facebook business page, you can do boosted posts, you can do promoted posts, but if you want to take it one step further and run a Facebook ads campaign, do A/B testing with ads, you want to make sure that you have a Facebook Business Manager set up with an ads account within it. So that just makes sure that things stay organized. And if you want to take it that step further with running a lot of more paid media, then that is all set up. Facebook makes it super simple, obviously, to run ads, but it's 2 separate things past that. So I just wanted to clarify that as far as if anybody wants to do any sort of paid advertising, that they want to make sure their Facebook Business Manager is set up with an ads account.
Are there any questions before we move on to Instagram? No?
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so much like Facebook, Instagram is in the same family, so it has a very similar setup process. So you have to have a personal profile to create a business account that allows you access to all the business features. So I wanted to give everybody a very step-by-step instruction of how you set that up. So you're going to go to your settings. If you're on your mobile app, which is in the right-hand corner, then you would switch to your professional account. From that account, you would choose if you're a business. Obviously we are, so we would choose business for this scenario. And then much like Facebook, it's incredibly important to correctly pick the category. That helps you develop and search and so forth. And then once that's completed, you would put your contact details and everything else we're about to go into. So just a best practice for everybody to keep in mind, because they are in the same family, you have to connect your business account to the Facebook page associated with your business. It allows it to be much easier to use all the features available for the business across the Facebook family of apps. And for my people that are talented and multitask and have multiple different companies and business branches, at this time, only one Facebook page can be associated and connected to that business account. So that's just something to keep in mind if you have multiple Facebook pages. And for my visual learners, whoever you may be out there, here is a step-by-step imagery for you to see. So you would go to your account, you would pick what best describes you, which we would hit business, then we would go to our category. And then eventually the goal is, and we will get there, it just takes time, as Karen has said, is to get to that engagement and following and that brand look and feel through Instagram. So getting started, when you're setting up your account, the fundamentals are key to your success. So the bio is the first thing people are going to see. The people reading your bio were curious enough to visit your profile. So you want to hook them in and show them why you should follow. in 150 characters or less. So you even have less than Facebook, but it should really describe your brand and really show that brand voice. So you have to be incredibly strategic of what you're going to choose to do with that. And some tips and tricks that we like to follow with our clients is to cut straight to the point. Short and sweet is the name of the game. I'm sure there's so many wonderful things about your business, but you have to be really careful of what you choose and give them just the bread and butter. Use line breaks. Line breaks are a really good way to organize bios into different types of info. So for our company's Instagram, we use bullet points. And another tips and trick is to include an emoji. And I would like to say that this may not align with every single company and brand, but it could work with some. So the right emoji can save space, inject personality, reinforce an idea, or draw attention. But you just have to make sure it's the right balance. And it really plays to your strengths. And then finally, you always want to have a call to action in that bio. If there's something that you want your customers or consumers to do, make sure that's there, make sure that's present. If it's a link, make sure tell them why they should click on it, which leads us to our next point. So with Instagram, you get one link to add into your bio. So for accounts with less than 10,000 followers, this is the only spot on Instagram where they can click on an organic clickable link. So for my e-commerce sites, for my people with a website that they've spent a bunch of money on and they want people to go to, we have to be really strategic about how we use this link. So again, like I said, we can connect to our website, a latest blog post, a special event, or a special landing page. And Karen hit on this already, but with social media, you cannot have the set it and forget it mentality. Much like your bio, you kind of want to keep updating it. And this link, you want to update this link frequently, especially when you're running an event. You're spending a bunch of money on this event. Let's make sure we're really using all of the platforms we can to promote it, product launches and special promotions. And so a best practice that we use at the agency is we always recommend something called Linktree. Now, Linktree is free, and there's an upgraded version for $5, which is pretty manageable for most people. But it allows you to connect your followers to all the other content they need with just one click. So we use this for, I would say, majority of our clients, and we definitely use it ourselves. So for an example, as you can see, you would just put it at the bottom of your bio where the click is, and it takes you to a different place where you can see all your different links. So it just gives them more opportunity to see more of your content, which we always want to capitalize that. We want to capitalize on all our own media. And then you got mad again. So contact info. When you're a business, we need to give people the opportunity to reach you, obviously. So when you use Instagram for business, it's important to put your contact information in there. I want to bring in an example though. So Karen mentioned the ice cream shop client we have. They had their location and phone number in there, and it did give them a false idea to their customers that they were a brick and mortar shop when they're actually a distributor. So you just need to be careful of what contact information you're putting in there and how you want people to contact you. But when you do add your contact information, Instagram creates corresponding buttons. So you'll get, as you can see, a call, text, or email directly to your profile. So it makes it really user-friendly and clickable. And you'll see that only on the mobile version. And then something recently that Instagram added is action buttons. So Instagram business accounts can include buttons so that customers can book or reserve appointments directly through your Instagram business page. The only caveat to this is that this feature you need to account. In order to have this feature, you have to be one of Instagram partners. And they're currently really only for the health and beauty. So if you had like a spa and you wanted to book now, you can do that directly through that, or a service such as that. Or food, you can reserve a reservation, or you can order food directly. So you can use it as your third-party system. So it's a new feature. It's a cool feature. There's a lot of development on this side of action buttons. So there's more to come on that. But again, that's that constant mentality of it's going to constantly upgrade. So you need to stay on top of it. And then finally, another thing we really want to mention is that you should really utilize story highlights and covers. So it's just another way to maximize your business profile's real estate. And organizing your stories into safe collections on your page, whether it promotes your core values, promotions, FAQs, or user-generated content. It's a great place to have that information stored consistently, so people don't have to go search for it. For our example, I showed you ours. We use our core values. So this is a great way to demonstrate what our brand is about and give examples of how we implement this in our day-to-day. Another fun thing about this is it really can highlight your brand's look and feel. So we use our own creative iconography, and then we use our brand colors as well. So it's just another way to bring your brand into the loop and have consistent guidelines, which we're going to hit on more later. Does anybody have questions about Instagram? We feeling good? We're Instagram pros. I love it. We're gonna have the best Instagram business page. So the next part is we're gonna talk about creating the strategy. So we have the setup, we've done everything we need to do, but how do we push that content and how do we get that engagement? So I'm gonna turn it over to Karen. She is brilliant and has created a beautiful roadmap of what this strategy looks like, and I'm so excited for her to share it with you all.
Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, this is a true look into my day-to-day and how a client comes to us from start to finish if they're wanting all things social media. And so we start out obviously with a social media audit. This is just reviewing the setup and performance best practices. And then after that, creating an overall content matrix that will result in a content bank. And then determining content type by channel, followed by creating a skeleton content calendar. And then obviously creating content to match that skeleton content calendar, and then of course scheduling it out within a scheduling app. Now I'm going to dive deeper into each one of these so that y'all can also have a visual into how this looks. So to start off, whenever a client comes our way and they're wanting anything social media, we always highly recommend doing a social media audit. So this is looking at their current social setup, their performance and best practices. So this is just one screenshot of a very, very long and thorough document. This is the overall current status of social channels. As you can see, this client was crushing it on LinkedIn. They had a great cadence across all of their channels, and they kept it very up to date. So this is just, evaluating and comparing with best practices and just showing our clients where they can improve or where they've absolutely crushed it. So this is just a great starting point for when clients come to us and they're wanting social media. And then moving into more of the strategy. So what I like to do is whenever a client, we've done the audit and we're moving into, okay, we're going to develop a content calendar. We're going to push out social media for them. We like to create a content matrix that will result in this big old content bank. Now, this isn't necessarily just for social media. This can be a content bank for web, for blogs. It can be a content bank for PR opportunities. So it's a living document that always can be added to. And as you can see here, we identified some broad topics for, this was a roofing company. And so we identified some very broad topics, and then underneath those broad topics are subtopics that we are able to pull from. And you can see even here that it's color coded. So we have evergreen topics and then seasonal topics. Obviously it's roofing, so we have to consider the seasonality. But what's awesome about this content bank is we can develop this big old bank of content and just do the hard work up front. And if we use up all this content within 6 months, we can look at the next 6 months and say, okay, how did we use the home safety checklist? Did we communicate that in a listicle? Okay, the next way we could communicate that is in a video or something, another form of content. So this type of content can be reused over and over. It's just how we can change the way we communicate it to our audience. So you would never run out of content. You can just repurpose it in different ways of communication. And then after we have made this content bank, we like to go in and determine the content type by channel. So of course, different channels receive different types of content differently. So of course, like Kaylee had mentioned before, LinkedIn is very B2B. Of course, it's getting a little bit more personal. People are sharing a lot more personal stuff, but it is primarily B2B. So with this client that we have, some of their broad topics that they really wanted to hit hard on was family, education, and health. And of course, we paired together some other topics that we would want to hit. But of course, we're going to hit really hard on the family aspect of the company, hitting those hard on Facebook and Instagram, as well as the education aspect. We want to hit that hard on Facebook and Instagram, but then be selective when it comes to LinkedIn. And of course, going down to the B2B section, we want to hit that hard just on LinkedIn. And then you can see to the left, we also like to establish a monthly cadence. So when we go to the next step, which is the skeleton content calendar, we can kind of place each one of those broad topics throughout the month so that you get a bird's eye view of what your month will look like as far as cadence and the flow of everything. So with this client, we wanted to make sure that we hit hard on health, a little bit of family. We wanted to make sure that we included those fun holidays. They're the ice cream distributor that we had mentioned earlier. And you can go to the next slide, yeah. And then of course you can see in the lower left-hand corner of each one of these posts that we are identifying what channel that we want to hit with each one of these. So there are some that hit just Instagram and Facebook, and then some we're wanting to hit hard with Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn with just how we're communicating it. Of course, the messaging will change from channel to channel, but this is just what we like to do to give our client a bird's eye view before we start creating the content, the copy, and obviously the imagery. And so moving on, this is a look into HCK2's, one of our content, one of our posts that we built out. So one of our pillars that we try to hit hard on is our culture, and dogs are very important to our culture here at HCK2. So we like to have a pet of the month. This is Rowdy. He's a super cute corgi, but this just dives into the next step as far as building all that content out. We have our caption to the left, we have our imagery to the right, and of course, we identify again what social platforms this post will go on up in the right-hand corner. And of course, we even have down at the bottom some hashtag recommendations. And then of course, to finish it all off, once we have the content all built out, then we'll go into our scheduling app, which we use Sprout Social. There's other versions, there's other scheduling apps out there. One is even Hootsuite I've used before. And but at HTK2, we use Sprout Social. It's very user-friendly, and you can tell, you can even see with this screenshot that you can see what's been posted, what's scheduled for ahead. You can get a whole month's view, and there's a lot of different tools within Sprout Social, but this is just a look at the scheduling part of this app.
Awesome. So we've given you a lot of information, and I kind of just want to round this out with some of our best practices in optimizing your social media platforms for the greatest success. So this is super high level, but let's kind of just like rework what we went through. So one, you really want to develop brand guidelines for your social channels that mirror your existing brand materials on your website. You've put time and effort into these existing materials. You've spent a lot of probably money on your website. So we want to make sure that social media is just another high level like that. We want to have an existing brand, an existing look and feel that if someone was on your website and then went to social media, they would have no problem knowing that that's you. Number two is that we want to commit to community engagement. this can be a little harder said than done, but you really want to make sure that you have a presence on your social media. So whether that be mentioning another company that you partnered with, or tagging somebody in a post, or commenting on something that you really liked, or just constantly creating a like with something. So you just really want to build up the community engagement, and that's going to really help with your following and creating a loyal, dedicated following base. And then we hit on this pretty hard, and Karen's graphic really spoke to it the highest, but you have to change up your content types and the forms that you use. So we learned how we're going to repurpose that content as well, but that means we're going to use static images, videos, polls, listicles, infographics, and text, so that we're giving our users different content to absorb. And that's going to make engagement way higher, and we're going to create, again, that dedicated following. And then number 4, which I truly think is the hardest thing, and I think we're all guilty of it ourselves, and this is our day-to-day lives, it can be hard to stay committed to posting consistently. You're business owners, you have a lot going on. There's a whole slew of things happening in your world, but social media sometimes falls to the back burner. But you have to stay committed to creating that cadence. And that's a big help of agencies, and how you have a partner come alongside you and have somebody run your social media. Someone like HCK2. So, but we can come alongside you. We know that social media takes so much time, so much effort, and that sometimes you need that partner to help you get to where you want to get and to get the results that you want to see. And it doesn't matter what type of business you are, you can really benefit from social media. And we learned that there's different platforms you can do, but everybody has a place on social media, no matter what you do. But it is hard to stay committed, but we want to start with that 2 to 3 days a week. And then we want to eventually maybe get up to daily if that works best for your brand. And then I'm going to turn it over to Karen to talk about the others.
Yeah, of course. And what Kaylee was saying, of course, changing up your content type. So we wanted to hit this on number 5 as well. We want to make sure that we are taking advantage of Facebook lives, Instagram lives, there's TikTok lives, there's a ton of different lives that you can do. There's stories, there's reels, there's IGTV. So something really cool about lives especially is, I'm sure whenever y'all have been scrolling on your social media, you get a notification that goes, blah, 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 just went live. So it automatically shows you, oh, this person just went live. And of course, you can go live from your business page. So just making sure that if that aligns, of course, with if you're hosting an event and you want to show people where you are and you want people to interact and get more engagement, you can really get some people on your lives as well. And then this number 6, I really want to hit on really, really hard. Don't try to sell too much. You want to establish trust between your company and your audience. So a good rule that I like to tell people is an 80-20 rule. You want to give people 80% information. You want to give people free information, free education, whether that be, tips and tricks that can help somebody save money. So even a client that I had was an electrician company. And so what I had established for them is, hey, don't call us if your breaker, cuts off. If you trip the breaker, this is how you fix it. Don't call us to get a $100 service fee for us to come by and just trip your breaker back. So it's establishing that trust. You want to give people so much information, and then that 20% you want to cash it in. And then you can say, hey, if you're needing new outlets or you need more wiring, call us. We do this. We do X, Y, and Z. So that also, the establishing trust also happens when you commit to that in community engagement as well. You want to make sure that you're interacting with your audience and making you seem more like a person rather than a company. And that obviously can be gained by making sure that you are constantly commenting back, liking different things, just making sure that you are committing that time to making sure that people know that there are people behind that business page. So the 80-20 rule is something that I fully believe in, and you want to make sure that you give people it's kind of like credit. You give so much and then you can cash it in. So that's something that is really big that I wanted to hit hard. But I'm going to toss it over to Kelly for number 7. Oh, you're on mute, Kelly.
I'm sorry. Thanks. And I'm going to wrap it all up. We're just about done and we can take questions now. But, wanted to point out, there's a couple of things about social media in general, and in particular about Facebook and social media is social. And we had said at the beginning of the presentation that what we're finding right now is that we're talking to a lot of businesses that had a set it and forget it sort of mentality toward their social media. And that in particular just doesn't work because social media is social. And so what Karen was just talking about, where people set up a social media platform and then don't expect to answer a question that somebody asks, or even if somebody were to love your product or service and say, wow, so-and-so did a great job for me yesterday. If they take the time to say that, you need to take the time to say, thank you so much for sharing that. We really appreciate it. When your brand reaches back out and communicates back, it means a lot to your customer base. If somebody takes the time to say, your product is amazing and it's transformed my life in a certain way, and you respond back and say, it means the world to me that you said that about my product. Other people see that, that person sees that, you start to make customers for life, loyalty abounds from that sort of thing. And social media can really start to work for you because you are being social with your social media. And we just find all the time when we do our audits that we have to tell clients, you have to respond to a comment, be social with your social media. So if you, are setting it and forgetting it, you really need to understand to be social with your social media. And, one of the things that we're trying to teach our clients right now is that you have owned media. We work with clients when we build our strategies, we have paid, earned, and owned media, right? So your owned media, it usually is social media platforms, it's your website, and it's your email campaigns. Those 3 things work in unison together. And in particular, they work really well together as the Google search engine is giving you rankings. And if you're not aware of it, June 1st, Google changed their ranking and they added 3 new web vitals. And those web vitals have sort of, depending on the type of business that you're in, have really thrown some businesses on their ear. And what that means is your ranking has changed. Some people are no longer on their first page. Some people aren't getting the same number of calls that they got before because the web vitals have changed. And so if you're not getting as many calls, and if your ranking has changed, if you're aware of a difference, because it's about mid-month now, it's because Google's rankings have changed. And so that's one of the things we're doing audits on right now. And so you just need to be aware of that. And we're happy to do an audit for you if you'd like us to do that for you as well. A complimentary audit, as a matter of fact. So I think with that, I'll hand it back to Kaylee.
Yeah. Awesome. Maybe we get to see the next slide. Okay. All right. So before we open up to questions, again, social media is social. So let's be social, everybody. Below are our handles for our Instagram, Facebook, and our URLs to our LinkedIn and our website. I would love if everybody could connect with us. I would love to hear about your business and your needs, and if you see a fit for marketing or a hole in your gap. So just please connect with us. And then I just wanted to open up for questions. I know we have a bunch of
Yeah,
questions.
well, thank you guys very much. That was incredibly informative. Got already some great feedback in the chat coming your way. So I know it looks like a lot of people felt the same way. And just for those that are interested in seeing these slides again, as Jeffrey mentioned, the North Dallas Chamber of Commerce YouTube page will have this recording up there, and we'll be emailing out a link to the YouTube link, or I'm sorry, YouTube posted video at the conclusion of this event. So a couple questions we've got. One of which was from Peter Van Ryder at EMS. He asked it specifically to TikTok, but I think this probably applies to all platforms here for business owners. Are there any security concerns with businesses that have data security concerns?
Oh, I'll field that one. I think there's always been rumors about whether, I mean, we've heard rumors from the beginning about whether or not there's some sort of a, you know, China, you know, looking in on or problem with that, with TikTok in particular, from the very beginning of that platform being placed out there. I think that cybersecurity in general is a concern on any platform at any time, right? Data security it should be a concern for everybody. So I would say I don't have any more concern for that platform than on any other platform, quite frankly, given the nature of the world that we live in today. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sure there are others, but I think what we do as marketers right now is we weigh the threat with the benefit of reaching the target audience that we're trying to reach. And that's what's happening.
Yeah. Second that.
Good to know. Thank you. We got one other question. So you guys mentioned it sounds like it's a full-time job in some regard, posting certain channels, but is there a level that you guys have been able to draw a line where there's too much posting? And I know this on a personal level, everybody has that one friend that's just constantly sharing stuff all day long, and it's just
Right.
a laundry list of posts all day long, and you just stop paying attention. So is there a level that you guys reach where there's too many postings for any one platform?
The answer to that is based on the data that we get. So it depends on the client, it depends on the industry, and it depends on the behavioral data that we see. So if the goal is to acquire followers and we continue to see followership rise, even though there's 16, 20 posts, then the behavior of the client in that case indicates that there's no problem with 20 posts. If we start to see a decline, or people are leaving the brand, or we are seeing loss of followership, that's when we toggle down. Karen, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, there are best practices for each social channel. So there are best practices for just across the board, and it's not industry specific, but even for Facebook, it says post daily to maybe twice daily. But we have seen certain instances that even that more than 2 times a day has been beneficial for some companies. But then we've also had certain clients that they need to pull back. They do not need to be posting daily because their content gets diluted, and their engagement isn't as high because there's so much going out. People aren't seeing it as much and then it turns people away. Sometimes if they see too much, they get annoyed. But Kelly is completely right. It just depends on the data. You want to try something for a couple months, you see what those results are, and then you can reevaluate your strategy after that.
Okay, thank you. We got one final question here from America's sweetheart, Corolla Broaddus. She says, I always get posts and direct messages that if I let them, they will get me 10,000 followers quickly. is there any credibility to these companies, and what is a good rule of thumb as to how many followers one should have?
I can start this off. I know probably Kelly and Kaylee will back me up after this. These companies or these profiles are not credible at all. They have their ghost accounts that they get you the followers. If you really care about followers, those will get you there, but they are the completely wrong followers that you want. They will not engage with your content. It's kind of funny whenever you see a profile and it has, 100,000 followers and they have, maybe 200 likes, because that a lot of those are ghost followers, and they actually damage your ranking in a way on social media. All the platforms frown upon that big time, so it doesn't help you in the long run, and you want to make sure that all your complete audience are people who want to follow you or want to support your business. So those are, and you can see some of those there. You'll go through the followers and they're completely just ghost accounts. They have no content. They're from halfway around the world. They're not the followers that you want. So.
Right. That you can tell when someone's purchased followers versus really have genuine followers by the engagement that you see on their accounts. And so you don't want to do that.
Yeah. It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do
Really
it.
good question. It's a really good question, because you're going to get those companies that are going to act as though it will help your brand. And it does, to Karen's point, it does not help your brand. It will harm your brand by doing that.
All right, good to know. Well, again, I want to thank you guys very much for sharing invaluable information today. And I know this is probably just scratching the surface of what you guys are able to do for your clients, and anybody interested in that, I would ask you to reach out directly to them. The HCK2 team has been gracious with their time today, and we want to say thank you to you guys. We also want to say thank you to our sponsors. We want to say thank you to, again, to Kaylee, Karen, and Kelly, and especially to the North Dallas Chamber members for participating today. Scrolling through the screen, I don't know if anybody's a visitor, but if you are, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you on another call. While everybody's sitting at their computer, go ahead and open up your calendar and mark Tuesday, July 13th. That'll be part 3 of this 3-part series of Fine Tune Your Brand for Digital Engagement. This one will be focused specifically on LinkedIn, and our expert that day is going to be Debbie Saviano, with the founder of Women's Leadership Live. She's a LinkedIn social media strategist. And I know LinkedIn, as you said, is going through some different changes culturally and functionally, and that'll be extremely beneficial for everybody as well. I want to say thank you very much to the North Dallas staff. You guys are incredible at what you do. Jeff Kittner, I saw you earlier. I know, I hope you're still on the call. Did you have any announcements for us before we sign off and have some open networking after the call today?
Yeah, I think he had to go to another meeting, so
Okay.
I'll just chime in and say again, thank you to everybody that showed up. Thank you, ladies, for a great presentation. I wanted to shed some light also. I wanted to throw out a big thank you to Larry Fusey for managing our Business Toolbox Committee, which is part of the planning process for content-driven programming like this. I want to thank everyone, and look at our calendar at ndcc.org. We've got lots of stuff coming up this summer. And to go back to something that Bob Trice said earlier, yes, we are in the process of dipping our toe back into in-person meetings. So pay attention to the calendar as we progress down that pathway. So thank you from the North Dallas Chamber of Commerce.